Hi, my name is Pack from the Package Hybrid, and we're going to have a look at the back squat. I have Whitley with me, a demo person, and we're going to have a look at the technique, because when it comes to strength training and moving heavy weight, technique is key. Let's have a look. Whitley is going to grab the barbell, which is in a rack, and her width of the grip is always the same. It doesn't matter if she's squatting here or somewhere else, she's always grabbing the same. Why? Because when you have your arms the same width all the time, the technique is always the same and it feels great. From here, she's going to dive below the bar, putting the barbell in the high bar position. We're doing high bar back squats. Her hip is slightly bent, her knees are slightly bent. From here, she's going to lift out the weight and then she's going to take 2 steps out. One thing that I want to emphasize right from the start, and for that I'm going to make her turn. Have a look at her wrist right now, because we want to have a good and engaged upper body. Her wrist needs to be in a neutral position. It should not be too high. It should also not be too low, okay? Neutral position in your wrist to have a good engagement in your upper body. I'm going to turn her back. Same thing is for your core in the middle. We don't want to overarch, because when you overarch, the ribs are actually not above the hips. I would tell her, tuck your ribs in. As you can see, this is now a full block, and from here we can start squatting. For the squatting itself, the hips and the knees are moving at the same time. Hips are going back, knees to the front, and then from here you're squatting all the way down. And there we have the hip lower than the knees. From here, Whitley is going to stand up. And the last thing when it comes to technique is, where do I position my head? You're kind of looking 45 degrees down. You don't want to look all the way down, because that is also not a good position for your back rack. And then you also don't want to look too high. This is also not a good position. Keep your chin in a neutral position, and you have that when you look about 45 degrees downwards to the floor. The next thing is your foot position and your knees when you squat. I'll make Whitley squat down again all the way. As you can see, her knees are clearly over her toes. That is totally fine. You're allowed to do that as long as your knees are pointing into the same direction of your feet. I'm going to make her stand up again. And then she's going to put the barbell back into the rack. For the foot positioning, actually, you can choose from parallel up to a little bit of an open position. It depends on your hip joint. There's people that have different bone structures. Some are slightly more bent, some are slightly more open. That determines if you squat parallel or a little bit outside. The key is you squat all the way down and your knees are traveling over the line of your toes. That is very important. I'm going to switch my demo person. Whitley is going to go out and Leo is back. As you saw, it was very easy for Whitley to squat all the way down. Full range of motion is key when it comes to squatting. You want to train your legs properly. It might be that either in your hips or in your ankles you're a little bit too stiff. There's something that is called a heel elevator, and with this one we can make it happen that someone who is not as mobile as Whitley can squat all the way down. Let's have a look how this looks in real life. I'm going to tell Leo without a heel elevation to squat all the way down. And as you can see, she leans forward. She's even losing contact to the floor. And as you can see, the hip is not all the way down below the knees. You can stand up again. Therefore, what I'm doing now is I'm going to place the heel elevation behind her. Now she's going to go all the way down with the heel elevation. Hips are going back, knees into the front at the same time. And as you can see, her upper body stays straight. Here is her knee. Her hip is below the knees, and this is a proper squat. And now she can actually work in the full range of motion. She's going to stand up, and she's doing the exact same thing with a barbell. She's going down. She lifts out the barbell, and then carefully walks back to the heel elevation. And then from here, does a couple of squats. Down and up, down and up. And then put it back into the rack. This is very, very useful to make you squat with a full range of motion. You want to train your muscles properly to get fitter, to be able to withstand more load on the barbell. And this will ultimately help you for your training, race, or competition.